Hello, this is Patrick with New Jersey's Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel. Today I am in Brick Township, New Jersey, and I bumped into Tim, and a while back I actually seen this school bus conversion in a Walmart parking lot, and I found it very interesting, and I'm glad he reached out to be on the channel today. Tim is going to give us a tour of his school bus conversion. Hello and welcome to New Jersey Outdoor Adventures.
Hi, I'm Tim, and this is Woo. It's a 1993 GMC G3500. It's a 1-ton. It's a 6.2 diesel, and it's got 121,000 miles on it. And I paid $1,100 for it, and the total cost in is about a little over $5,000. So a little bit more about me. About 10 years ago I got diagnosed with bone marrow cancer, and my sister was my donor. But before that I had bought a little travel trailer that I was going to travel the country in. Obviously I got sidetracked, and then about 3 years ago in 2017 I was ended up with pulmonary fibrosis. So I had a double lung transplant in November of 2017, and I was trying to figure out a way to be able to pay my bills and be on disability, because I still had bills from when I had a regular life. So I decided to start looking for a little school bus, because I had one in the mid-90s when I followed the Grateful Dead for a little while. So this is what I came up with. I found it at a church down in Smithville outside of Atlantic City, and I did all the conversion myself. Want to come take a look? Come on in. So, Chester's area, right here. Say hi, Chester. Good job. Right over here on this side, this is an old cooler I found for $1, and it's Chester's, all Chester's stuff. I've got some baskets up here that I keep my hats and some tapestry in and everything like that. I did that because it wasn't worth it to take the metal off up here. It didn't give me enough added space, so I just did this. Little bits and pieces of texture that I added. I found this stuff. This is an old skirt that I found at a thrift store and cut it up just to add something to it. My little solar system set up. We got a 2500 watt inverter and a 40 amp charge controller. Inside my little closet I've got my battery bank, 3 100 amp hour gel batteries, and just some extra regular little storage that I can keep in here. My hammock, so I can find a place to sit in the shade, shoes and all that stuff. Coming back this way, if you look, this is actually my bed. So it folds up. It's a Murphy bed, so it's not in the way all the time, because I am limited in space. I only have 86 square feet to work with. But I do have a full-size couch that I can lounge on during the day if it's raining. Underneath it is all my storage, clothes, you know, random stuff that I just need a spot for. I don't need all the time. There's a bunch of stuff in the back, you know, extra storage or some paint back there. These right here are some old shutters I found on Facebook Marketplace. I found 6 of them for $20, and they happen to fit the right size, so all I had to do was screw them in. So it covered it up real nice. And then here, I'll show you how to fold this down. So I just had little carabiners hooked up onto the ceiling and everything like that. There's one on each side. Then all I do is move my cushion and I drop it down, and then I got a full-size bed, you know, and you know, I've got blackout curtains and everything to keep it cool, you know, so nobody can look in. It hides the light when I'm quote unquote stealth parking. You know, I got spots up here for my pillows, so they're out of the way. Yeah, let me fold this back up. But it's real simple and easy to do. It doesn't take more than just a couple seconds to set it back up. Like I said, a full-size couch that I can sit on during the daytime. In the back corner over here, I just have some extra storage. You know, I've got my battery-powered tools back here, shovel, some recovery equipment, an extra cooler. My electrical work bag is right here. This top I found for $5 on Marketplace as well, and I didn't know where I was going to put it, but I liked it, so all I did was sand it down and stain it and clean it back up again. Part of my electrical system is hooked up to 12-volt lights. I have 3 of them. 2 are right here, and then I'll show you in a second I have strip lights on the other side. And then I actually hooked up a max air fan as well, running to all the electrical. I did the electrical at the end because I didn't know what I wanted, so that's what these are. These are all my wires, but they're hidden nicely. I think so, at least. In the back here, I've got 2 wooden crates that I got for a few bucks a piece. Turned them on their side, pieces of plywood and rope. That's it. And the color on these, this one and then the one on the other side, I used coffee grounds and I rubbed it on there just to give it a little color to it. That's all. In my back corner, I've got a couple chairs and a couple tables that I can set up when I'm there for a few days. It's part of my toilet system. The bus does not have air conditioning, so I had to figure a way out because I was in Florida during, part of COVID, and it got hot, so I bought an air conditioner. This is one of the few things I bought new, actually, for the bus. Cut a hole, stuck it in there. I can run it off of shore power, or I actually have a generator as well that I can run on it. Here's that other cabinet I was telling you about right here. And then this is technically, I guess, what everybody would call my garage, because my bed isn't in the back like a lot of Skoolies have. So all I did was I got some pieces of 1x3s, and I found this wood here, these pieces of wood right here. This is an old pallet boxes, and I found 3 of them for a few bucks down in Florida. I didn't know what I was going to use it for, but again, I liked the way it looked. So I just sanded them up, cut them down, and built the thing. So I've got my tools on here. I've got my jump box back here. This bucket right here is a bunch of red cedar. I carve spoons out of these things. I learned how to do that when I was living out in Utah when I worked with troubled teens in the wilderness. Got my propane tank. Yeah, I know you're not supposed to keep it inside. That's my choice. It's what I use for number 2. It's a good old bucket in a bag. It works. Right here is my cooler. This is a Waco, which is a Dometic before it became Dometic. It's 50 quart. I found it in Florida for a couple $100. Used, it works. And then I put reflectix on the side, the top, just to give it a little extra insulation. And then I've got my sink right here with running water. There are 2 7-gallon tanks underneath, and then a 7-gallon for gray water. It's just me and my dog Chester, so I don't mind filling up with water, pretty often. It works for me. Found myself a little dish rack that I keep my couple dishes on. This is my light strip, my other light strip. I don't have the remote with me. And then I put these up because I didn't want full cabinets because it would be too closed in, I thought, just because of the size of the bus. So it works for me. My cutting board, which was the cutout from the sink. And then this right here is an old microwave cart, again, a Facebook Marketplace. I got a cutting board here, and it's also where I eat. It works pretty well. You know, I put little child locks on the doors just so I make it work. My pots, coffee grinder, canned goods, some extra storage spots. Yeah. The floor was, what was it? I got it for, it was the cheapest stuff I could find at Home Depot. And that's what I did. And when I ripped up the floor, there was only a couple rust spots that I had to fix. And the way I fixed those were, when I took the metal off of the walls, I cut the pieces to fit and patched them that way, because this way it saved me money. And when I took off the walls, I just replaced the insulation because it was 27 years old. So I replaced the insulation on the walls. I added a 1/2 inch of insulation on the floor, and I redid the roof as well, the ceiling. I took it out, which was a big pain, and then replaced the insulation and put it back up again. And then there's obviously another louver that I use, my extra little spot, another little place to sit. And then under here is just some more storage. There's paint in there, sprays and all that random stuff. Chester's bed. I like keeping the magnets, the metal roof for the magnets and everything, because they're very useful. And then I'll show you some stuff outside. So the door right here, it came as an accordion door where it would close in like this. And I took all that extra door hardware off because it just took up space. It was bulky. So all I did was take 3 pieces of metal, one top, bottom, and middle, put it on there. I used some spray insulation, foam insulation inside to harden it up and make it better. And this is just a gate latch that when I close the door, I pop this down and it goes into the hole. And then I have a little hook here that on the top that I use. And then it just closes. And then when I actually park, I'll put this over and throw a lock through it. And then I made myself some screens. Excuse me. Originally I had the convertible screens that went into a window, but I couldn't open and close the windows. So I went to, your local big box store, and I bought the screen kits and just made them. I've got 2 on this side and then 2 on the other side that I use. This right here is my sign. The name of the bus is called Woo, and my sister made this for me. And then down here, I made myself a storage compartment. That's some metal that I found at my dad's house and some hinges. And it's a way to keep all the dirty stuff out. Oils, oil pan. I even keep my freshwater fishing gear in there too. It just stays out of the way. Hey buddy. Yeah, closes up real nice and easy. Yeah. I learned a lot in building this thing because I had never done any really type of work like that. On the top up here, I've got 6 eye bolts that I hook an awning up to, which is, my awning is just a tarp with some expandable poles, and it works really well. One of my favorite things is my ironing board / table. I can put my stove on here. If I'm having people over around a campfire, it can be the little bar, whatever you want to make for it. And I can actually, if I need to, I can take it off and put it on the outside too, so I can keep the door closed. I have reflectix for all the windows, and then I just use some material, an old tapestry, to cover it up so it just doesn't look super shiny. Fridge I can access from inside or outside. my jump box if I need it, tools. Here's how I cook. I didn't want a traditional stove inside because I like the versatility being able to cook outside if it's hot, because I don't want to cook inside. My shower system looks like an old fire extinguisher. So all I have to do is fill it up with water. I take this pump off. I throw it on the stove for about 10 minutes, heat it up. And then all I do, I pressurize it. I hook up a hose to it, and that's how I can shower. I have a small little privacy shelter that I can shower in if I need to, or I can just make sure I have shorts on and shower. I can also use that for my toilet as well. Yeah. And then what I found is that when I do shower, I can shower on this, so my feet don't get nasty. I added that about a month ago, just an old travel hauler. My generator that I found on Facebook Marketplace, obviously. It works really well. I added a deadbolt system just so I can lock it and unlock it from the inside and outside. Here's something that I added too. I got myself an extra little table, so if I want, I can cook on this too. It works really well. I like having both doors. I wish there would have been a way that I didn't cover up the wheelchair lift door, but I had to do it. I added an old van ladder so I can get up top to clean off my solar panels or do any work, and I can sit up there and watch the sunset as well. You know, it works pretty well. Yeah. Really haven't done anything on this side. Again, like I said, I did make my own screens. Yeah, I made 2 of them over here. This window never opened, so I didn't bother putting a screen on it, and the curtains are always on there. And then this front window here, this is on the other side, is where my closet is, so I didn't bother with the screen on that one. Some of my stickers from where I've been and some of the people I've met on the road. Yeah. And I named the bus Woo, because I bought it from a church called Linwood. And when I was scraping the letters off, that was where I could reach easily, and then the same thing on the other side. So the bus kind of named it itself, which I'm okay with. Yeah. So again, it's a G3500 GMC, missing the MC. Maybe I can find those, or if somebody has them, let me know. Maybe we can work out a deal on them, because I'd love to have the last 2 letters. Yeah, so that's about it. I got 340 watts of solar. Yeah, connected to my whole solar system. And then, yeah.
So what are some of the biggest challenges that you had packing everything up and moving into a converted church bus?
It actually wasn't as hard as I guess it has been for some people, because I had to move from Utah because I had the double lung transplant. So everything I had out west, I got rid of. So I didn't have anything really when I moved here. So it was pretty easy to fit everything into the bus because I didn't have much. You know, I was staying with my sister. You know, thankfully she took me in and took care of me while I was recovering and everything. So yeah, it didn't take much to figure out a way to live in 86 square feet. Yeah.
And then what about registration and title? I see a lot of questions on our channel here about that, on what to do. Do you have any insight on that process?
I was trying to figure that out, and I found out in the state of New Jersey and a lot of other states, it's difficult to get your vehicle registered until your conversion is fully done. So I went on to a website called Skoolie.net, and I researched registration and everything, and I found a way to register my vehicle in the state of Vermont, all through snail mail. I didn't have to go there in person. I just had to fill out some forms, send them my title, and send them a check. And then 3 weeks later I got my registration and my plates, and I'm good to go now.
And then living full-time in a van or RV or a bus conversion like this, I believe you have to create a domicile, I guess, in a certain state.
Yeah.
So any insight on that?
Yeah, I was lucky enough, again, I was using my sister's address, but she's in the process of moving, so I'm trying to move things around. So I'm going to use a mail forwarding service. The one I found that's going to work for me, I think best, is called iPostal. And they give you actually physical address, so you don't have to worry about the P.O. box thing. And what happens is they will just scan your mail, the outside of it, and you can look on your portal if you want it or not. They can discard it. They can open it for you, scan it that way. They can mail forward it to you. And there's different plans based on how many pieces of mail you get per month. So that works pretty well, I think, for me.
Is there any tips that you could give our viewers if they're in the process of researching for a bus conversion like this to do themselves? Is there anything that came up along the way that if you had to do it all over again, you would do it differently? Or based on your research, why did you choose something like this?
I wanted a bus because I had a bus, again, like in the mid-90s. I had a short bus that I lived in when I traveled following the Grateful Dead. And then this, for me, I chose this particular size because it fits in a regular parking spot. It's not so stealth, but really, the authorities really won't bother you unless you're parked illegally or something like that. And most of the time, it's just a knock. Hey, you can't park here, you got to move. I think that's happened to me 3 times in the past year. Because I've been traveling the whole country. I've been in, I think, 35 states in the last year. So, yeah, it's going to happen sometimes. You're going to get asked to move. You can't avoid it all the time, I don't think. So, yeah.
And before we started the video, you had mentioned this side door as being something to look out for because of the value that it adds.
Yeah, I like it. Because it gives extra ventilation when you keep it open. Again, I tried as much as I could not to block the door, but everything seemed to be piled up in the back, and I'd have to move everything all the time just to get to one thing. So I had to break down and that's part of the compromise in such a limited amount of space. What is the most important thing to you? And for me, it was trying not to be cluttered was more important than having the door. So.
And then how do our viewers find you? They're probably going to want to follow your journey. I'm sure you have some type of social media platform.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. It's TC Life Now. That's how you can find me on Instagram. I don't have a Snapchat or Twitter or anything else. I'm on Facebook too. You can look for me.
One more question before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
I noticed the finish on your countertop, and we didn't talk about that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So what I did was I found a piece of wood at the hardware store, basically the size I needed. So what I did was actually I took a torch to it and just burned it a little bit. I didn't do the full Japanese burning, but I just added a little, just so it just added a little color to it. That's about it. Yeah. My stereo system. There it is. One speaker. Yeah. I don't worry about having a head unit. It's just more wires I got to worry about in electrical trouble. So I just use my phone and the speaker.
Well, Tim, thank you very much for taking the time to give us a tour of your 1993 church bus, I guess we call it.
It was actually a school bus from Middletown, New Jersey first. I found that because I found some of the records. Yeah, so, yeah. If you get the opportunity to travel, you don't have to do it full time. Just get out there and explore the country. Yeah.
Well, this is Patrick with New Jersey's Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, comment, share, subscribe. I'd love it. And we'll see you soon.